Hey guys, welcome back to the Traveling Family Podcast. Glad you're back for episode 4. We weren't sure how we were going to do this when we first started doing it, but we've settled into a weekly mode and we'll see how long we can keep that going. But I think it's been fun.
Oh, it has been for sure. So I'm Keith.
I'm Amanda. We're husband wife, and for years we've talked about doing a podcast and we've thrown away like so many different topics and we've settled on traveling because I think it's something that we could definitely talk a lot about.
Yeah, and it's something we enjoy and we love to do as a family. So hopefully everyone's enjoyed the first 3 episodes. And this fourth episode, as promised, we're going to start digging into the parks of Disney World.
So I'll give you one guess. No context clues. For those of you watching on YouTube, it should be pretty obvious. Keith really got into theme for this one. I told him he had to go change his shirt because he was clashing what I already had on, but
Still clashing, but now at least Hakuna Matata. No worries.
So we're jumping straight into the Animal Kingdom. This is one of Disney's 4 theme parks, 4 ticketed theme parks, besides the 2 water parks, but one of their main 4 attractions. And in this episode, we're going to share our personal experiences at Animal Kingdom. Maybe in the future, we'll do like a deep dive into attractions and food and all of that. But we're really just going to share from the last couple times that we've been to Animal Kingdom over the last 2 years or so, what our experience has been in the park.
Yeah, obviously, newest park of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Although
it opened in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Mid early 90s.
Yeah. So Tree of Life is kind of the symbol. I'm gonna blank on this. I'll have it for the next podcast. The Walt Disney, they classify each of their symbols of their parks as a specific word, and it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it right now. I will have that at some point in time.
Why do we even try to prepare for these podcasts, honestly?
I think they call them icons, but the Tree of Life is that for Animal Kingdom. And do we want to jump into our first trip into Animal Kingdom?
Yeah. So the first trip to Animal Kingdom for us, I don't think I had ever been to Animal Kingdom before this. No, I feel like I have. I don't know if it had been years if I had. So first recent trip, I'll say, was in 2019. And we did that in conjunction with the Disney Marathon weekend because we were running races throughout that weekend. So we were there on the beginning of the trip doing the marathon weekend. And then at the end of the trip, we did the parks. And we had this as a multi-generational family trip because my parents were there with us. So it was us, our daughter, and my parents on the trip the whole time.
Yeah, and our daughter at the time was just about 3. She was like 2 years, 10 months.
Yeah, there's a tip for you also. If you are thinking about going and it makes sense for you and you want to go when you have somebody who is just about 3, that's a great time to go because technically they still don't need a ticket. Yeah. So under age 3, you can get them into the park without having to pay the extra money, which is significant to most.
Yeah.
Without a ticket. So there's a little tidbit for you if you're thinking about going to the parks. You know, I've heard people say that you shouldn't waste your money, shouldn't waste your time going to the parks with a kid that age because they're not going to remember it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they may not remember it, but it's for you too. It's a vacation for you. And I'll tell you what, if you're a parent, there's nothing like seeing Walt Disney World, whether you were there as a kid or not, through your kid's eyes. Like, to me, that's 50% of why I enjoy and appreciate so much of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, she loves it. She's now 5. So when we go back and we talk about our other trips that we've been on and our upcoming ones that we have forthcoming, you know, it's awesome to see. And she still talks about this first trip. So yeah, for at least right now, she still remembers. I think if you talk about it and kind of keep it fresh, then they remember a little bit more.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. So somehow the last 2 trips we've been on to Walt Disney World, Animal Kingdom's been our first park that we've gone to. So it felt like a good place to start as we jump into our park discussions.
So going to this first trip with the almost 3-year-old, not really realizing that our kid might be scared of some different items. We thought, oh great, we
Oh,
walked into the park and let's go to the Tree of Life and watch It's Tough to Be a Bug, based on it's a bug's or based off Bug's Life.
yeah. And keep in mind, we have a buddy who knew we were going to Disney, has some older kids, and said, "Oh, the Bugs Life, that is one of the really fun things I remember my kids loving when we went." So, we're by the Tree Life. I said, "Oh, I think our buddy mentioned that we should do this with her." So we take her into It's Tough to Be a Bug. And for those of you that are listening that have sat through this, you can probably imagine where the story's going. And for those of you that have never sat through this ride, or really it's more of a show,
Yeah.
um, Disney describes it on their website as dark, loud, and scary. So shame on us for parents for not doing maybe a little bit more research on this, but we walk into the very first ride for our daughter's very first trip to the parks of Walt Disney World, and she freaks out.
Yeah, as soon as Hopper came on, she was out the door with grandma.
She was screaming. We had
Yeah.
to escort her out of the theater in the middle of the show.
This will become a theme as we touch on parks,
Yes,
unfortunately.
for the 2019 trip at least.
Yes.
I think we really set ourselves back a little bit for her to be in any dark enclosed space after that experience, because we
Yeah.
told her it was going to be fine, and then the
But
bugs come out of
it's
the
still a
woodwork.
fun show. It really was. We sat through it and watched it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
But then after that, we're like, okay, great. Let's go to something that we
let's
know
calm her down.
that she'll enjoy. And we went to the Kilimanjaro safaris,
Which she was still nervous about. Now she was
She
nervous
was.
about anything that we
Yeah.
told her. It's going to be fine. You'll enjoy this. But I will say, she loved it. She really enjoyed the Kilimanjaro safaris. And if you have never been on the Kilimanjaro safaris, they are such an immersive experience to be right amongst animals and learn a lot. I mean, Disney does such a great job of educating in a fun way, which is one of the things I really enjoy.
Yeah, and if you're going, if you're going to go and you've never been to Animal Kingdom, or even if you've been to Animal Kingdom, on Disney Plus, on their National Geographic items, they do a real deep dive into the animals of Animal Kingdom. Extremely interesting, to kind of learn a little bit of the backdoor secrets, so to speak, of
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom, how they take care of the animals, and
I want to
and
watch that again.
yeah, and just some of the
Before we go.
animals that you're going to see along the safari. A lot of times I hear Animal Kingdom described as kind of a zoo, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good way to say it, because you're not wrong. Like, there are elements of a zoo at the Animal Kingdom, but it's like amped up by 100 times
yeah,
with
for
great
sure.
restaurants, other shows,
Well, rides and
other
everything.
roller coasters.
Yeah, and
so
we'll get
there's
into
a
all of
lot
those.
more. Yeah, but it definitely is. If you have an animal lover in your family, this is a no-brainer that you've got to go to this park.
For sure, absolutely. So after we got done with the safaris, we were kind of hungry. We got to the park right at rope drop, I think, which was like at 8 a.m.
Yes, and rope drop is the term for getting there when the park opens. For those of you that may not be like Disney lingo people,
Yeah.
and I get that, rope drop, all that means is when the park opens. And it's called rope drop because they literally, I think up until very recently, probably, I think right before COVID even, they would literally have a rope and they would drop the rope and then you could go into the park. So that's why it's called rope drop. But really what that means is when the park opens.
Yeah.
So we are morning people, so we get there right away when the park opens.
But we hadn't really planned on breakfast.
We didn't plan breakfast, and this is laughable if you know us well, and especially me. I mean, shoot, I love planning everything out, but we didn't really, our plan for breakfast was not to have a plan, which sometimes I will say
works out.
Yeah, definitely. It helps keep you sane. And that way, if we had a potty training.
Yeah, that's
2-year-old, remember, she was potty training at the time. Right. So sometimes to not have a schedule was better because we could just go at our own pace. But we got so lucky. We didn't know much about the restaurants at Animal Kingdom at this time. And we walked up to, there was a sit-down restaurant called the Tusker House. And we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll try this. it was a character meal. They got us in 15. A 10-minute wait. I think they told us it was going to be 15, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
it was incredible. And so character meal, which we're like, okay, great. Not one that we had planned on the docket. We had done Chef Mickey's, and as we talked about in the past, and we had the princess one scheduled,
Yeah.
that we'll kind of get into when we get into Epcot. But so bonus character
Yeah.
meal.
Unexpected.
Food was phenomenal.
Yeah, and this
Just
one is they just announced it's opening back up, I think on the 20th
June
of
20th.
June.
Yes.
So it'll be open pretty soon, depending on when you're listening to this. This is getting released the first week of June 2021, but I'm so excited for it to reopen. And I think I've read that it's reopening as like more of a family style because when we were there, it was a
This buffet.
buffet,
Yeah.
which was delicious. They had all your staples, your Mickey waffles, all the things that the kids love for breakfast. But then they also had some really unique
Asian,
options.
African,
Mhm.
because of the theming to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're going to get into there.
They had the delicious juice.
Yeah, the juice was phenomenal. I'm a juice snob since Hawaii and there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was truly, yeah,
Yeah.
the best juice I've had in probably 7 years. It was really good.
But so the character meal is kind of the originals. It's Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Daisy, and they're in safari gear, which is even that much more fun.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to try to meet Daisy, I think this is one of the few places outside of a meet and greet in a park, which aren't happening right now,
Yeah.
that you can get in and see Daisy. So, which was awesome for us because at that time, Mickey's Clubhouse was like a staple in the household. So the Fab Five, the original
Yeah.
characters, all of them, and obviously there's six with Pluto and everything else. So you can determine what your definition of Fab Five is. Some say Daisy's out of that, some say she's in it. It just depends. But anyways, we were able to get then all of the characters from Mickey's Clubhouse because we had done Chef Mickey's, which Pluto is at. You sub out Pluto for Daisy at Tusker House.
Yeah.
It worked out really well for us because our daughter was so excited that she got to see Daisy.
So we're like walking her off the ledge from the Bugs Life experience. Yes. So she really enjoyed the breakfast. We really enjoyed that breakfast. It was nice to just kind of sit down again, being there with my parents and the 3-year-old. It was nice to sit down and have a table service meal. And then from there we left, and I think we went over to Dino Land USA because we were trying to figure out, what really is the next thing to do. And I didn't realize, again, Dino Land was what it is, which is kind of a carnival themed area in a sense, if you will. So they have a ride there called the Triceratops Spin, which is basically like the Dumbo ride, but with dinosaurs. And so we took our daughter on that. She got a huge kick out of it. It was fun. It was neat just to be on a little ride like that.
Yeah, we rode a couple of the rides within Dino Land, and then we did the Fossil Fun games, kind of like carnival games.
Yes. Yeah, she really wanted. Do you remember what stuffed animal she really wanted?
No, I think you're mixing trips, but
no, I don't think I am.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure it was the basketball game that either you or my dad won her the stuffed animal.
Yeah, you're definitely mixing trips. That was Kings Island. And it was a basketball game, and I did win her stuffed animal.
I don't know.
It was a PJ Masks, though, so it's still Disney.
Anyways.
But no, and it was fun. I mean, we enjoyed those. And really, though, that was kind of our first trip because we didn't know a ton about Animal Kingdom. We have obviously done research going into our trips, but with a young child of her age, Man and I, both of us, neither of us have seen Avatar, so we didn't know a whole lot about the land of Pandora.
Yeah, we didn't even go into it.
No, and we didn't really go into Asia too much at all. So we also did this as a half day. Like we park hopped this day into another park in the afternoon. So this was really one of those that we're like, all right, we're just going to kind of do the morning here. Which was great for what we were looking for. I think we got.
And I think the only thing that was a must do for us was the safari. and it's tough to be a bug. I think those
Yeah.
were like the two things we thought that we would for sure do in there, and anything else was great. So we did all of that in about 4 hours, maybe, including
Hmm.
the sit down character meal. So it was really not bad at all. And again, sometimes it's nice, like you're never going to be able to do it all, right? In whatever
No.
park, Animal Kingdom or any other of the four parks, you can't do it all in one day. So don't force yourself to. Know some of the best advice I've heard when going to Disney or planning a Disney trip, I think, is knowing your family's limits, right? We understood we were going to be there with 5 people, one of which was a potty training 2-year old. Like, know your limits, don't push it.
And
And
also,
then you'll enjoy it that
and
much
also
more.
know what you want to do. Like set it out ahead of time. Say, okay,
Yeah.
we want to ride this ride. Your must dos, right? Like, and then
Yeah.
if you get your must dos in, then awesome. If you're able to add a little bit extra to the trip,
Yep.
fantastic. Like, but as long as you get your must dos in and kind of know how to do that,
Yeah.
that's really kind
And
of
be
the best thing.
realistic with that.
Yeah.
Be like, don't have 10 must do's in a park for one day.
Right.
I mean, unless you're like sprinting around and have everyone of an age that's realistic. But if you're going with young kids, have 2, maybe 3 must do's per park and then go from there.
Yep.
So then fast forward almost 2 years later, because then we went in November of 2020. So this now is in the middle of the pandemic. We went
Yep.
back to Animal Kingdom, and we went there at Thanksgiving, right around Thanksgiving. And it was really special because it was decorated for Christmas. So that was a lot of fun to see the park in that light. And this time we were going in doing a full day at Animal Kingdom. The
Yep.
intention, because of the park reservations, and the park hopping was not even an option when we went. So we knew we were going to be spending all day in Animal Kingdom, and we chose to spend Thanksgiving Day in Animal Kingdom,
We did for
which I
sure.
think was really neat because it's not necessarily one of the more popular parks.
Yeah, so
So it
crowds were
wasn't crowded.
even though crowds were already down because of park capacity limits on due to the pandemic at that time. Still it was great. We could see and kind of do everything. Didn't have to wait in too long in lines.
No, not at all. Not at all. So we kind of split the park up and went to lunch over at Disney Springs and then came back into the park. So even though we weren't park hopping anywhere, we still kind of gave ourselves that midday break that a lot of times is nice, just the change of scenery, the ability, whether you go back to your resort or go over to Disney Springs and sit down for a lunch, just kind of having that midday chill break sometimes breaks it up enough to keep you sane. The
Yeah,
morning of Animal
the
Kingdom.
morning of Animal Kingdom. Again, we did Kilimanjaro Safari, and there's a theme and there's a reason why that we do it this way. Is in the morning you see a lot more of the animals. From what we have heard from tips and tricks and everything else, is you get to see a lot more of the animals in the morning time as they're coming out to eat their breakfast and they're moving around a little bit more. So we've always tried to hit that
Yeah.
ride in the morning.
And I think a lot of it too is, especially like if you're going in the summertime, it's not the heat of the day. In the heat of the
Yep.
day, they're lazy looking for shade or, trying to escape being out and about. But in the morning, they're more active. The giraffes have always been really active. And, I remember the first time we were on Kilimanjaro Safari, like 2 baby giraffe just stopped on the road right in front of our safari vehicle. So we just stopped and hung out and watched them. I mean, it is so cool because they are walking right amongst you, the giraffe and some of the animals.
And I can't remember if it was the first park, the time that we went, or the second time, but like right after we got off the safari, like one of the animals gave birth.
Yeah.
So the safari shut
I
down
think that was
for
also the first time
yeah,
we went.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was like right after we got off the safari. It was shut down for a little bit. But, I think that's the thing about the immersive experience. So we jumped from Kilimanjaro Safari, and as we were exiting it, actually, no, when we were on the safari guide
Yeah.
said, if you're doing the
Wilderness Explorers.
yes, the Wilderness Explorers, for my Wilderness Explorers on the bus, your code word is blah blah blah. So I said we got to figure out what this Wilderness Explorers is, because again, at this time we had an almost 5-year-old with us who
Yep.
was now in preschool and really into learning about things. And so I said we got to figure out what this Wilderness Explorers Club is. So as we exited the ride, there was a little booth there for Wilderness Explorers, and come to find out, it's this cute little, I don't know, maybe scavenger hunt is the wrong word. It's let's see, I wrote it down here. It's the self-guided activities range
So you,
from animal observations to learning important wilderness skills. And then you collect badges, and they have over 25 different stations throughout the Animal Kingdom park. And it's all themed off of Up. So, like,
oh, I'm impressed that you know
I read it on the website.
that.
Not my favorite.
No, not Amanda's favorite movie. She thinks it's sad, but
It is sad.
well, Carl, he finds happiness in the
Yeah, okay. So, anyways, but that's what this, and it is cute. You get a little pamphlet, which I should have, if I would have been better prepared for this, I would have had the little pamphlet so I could have shown you guys who are on YouTube. Maybe I'll insert a picture, but last time I said that on the podcast, I was too lazy to go back through and insert pictures. That, and the people that are listening can't see it.
No, but anyways, you can go through the park, collect it. You can pick up the booklet at any of the Wilderness Explorer areas, and then go around and collect your badges. Now, we did not get all of the badges, so I don't know if there's a gift or anything if you collect all 25.
Well, it says you get to, after
Oh,
you earn the
right.
right.
To echo the call. That's right. You become a Wilderness Explorer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you don't get all 25 badges, do not earn your right.
So, but it's fun. Daughter loved it. She was able to go around and learn different things, and it was great too. So, because of the pandemic, the queues and the lines for the rides actually spread out throughout the parks. So, as we're standing there in line for different rides, because it was still some 45-minute wait. I think that was probably our longest wait that we did at Animal Kingdom, but it was really nice that only one person had to kind of stay in line until you got up to the actual queue to the ride. So we would take her around and go look for these wilderness explorers. That way she didn't have to get bored standing in line. And it kept her engaged throughout the day. So it was really, really a good thing from that standpoint. Now, as capacity levels increase and social distancing has been decreased, I don't know how long those lines are going to be spread out through the park, but if you are going and that's still the case, highly recommend kind of, keeping one person of your party in line and allowing the others to kind of go out and explore.
Yeah, for sure. No pun intended.
Adventure is out there.
Oh, geez. So I am looking forward to grabbing the book right on the bridge. As you are entering the park, you go across the bridge to what they call Discovery Island, and that's where the big tree of life is. That's kind of your main entrance area to Animal Kingdom. Right when you go across there, on your right hand side is, I think, the first opportunity to grab your wilderness guide. And we learned this because we stopped at this on the way out.
Yep.
And it was kind of fun. I mean, they know the cast members at Disney truly they can make your trip even that much more incredible. We were standing talking to the cast member, and she was talking to our daughter, and she asked our daughter what her favorite animal was that she had seen that day. And our daughter told her the hippo, because Fiona the hippo is her favorite animal, because we are fortunate enough to live close enough to the Cincinnati Zoo that we get to go a couple times this summer. So our daughter is obsessed with Fiona, the famous hippo. And the cast member that's there explained how Fiona's mother lives, or not Fiona's mother, I'm sorry, grandfather. Fiona's mother was born in Animal Kingdom, who now lives up in the Cincinnati Zoo with Fiona. But it was really cool learning that little fact and tidbit. And I mean, they're just so well educated. Like, a little girl from Cincinnati, Ohio mentions that she loves Fiona the hippo, and the cast member knew right away the lineage, and to explain that Fiona's mom was born at Animal Kingdom. I mean, that's really cool.
Fiona's a pretty well-known hippo just because she's the first premature hippo to...
Yeah, but how do you know where the mom's born?
Well, if you have that connection. I'm
sorry. I'm trying to give Disney credit here. I didn't realize you were so cynical on Disney.
No, not at all. Actually, I'm Disney does it the best of the world in my mind. But sorry, Disney cast members, you guys are awesome. Please.
If you want to see this guy's face, we do have this live on YouTube, so you can go ahead and look his face up, and Disney cast members razz him next time you see him on our trip.
I will take it. Again, another big part of why we were doing the Wilderness Explorers was because, again, we're spending all day in the park, and it's not something that we had a lot of expectations, I don't know, going into. So we wanted to make sure that we're engaging and seeing everything that the park has to offer. This was a great way to really take us to all the lands and kind of give us an excuse, not that we necessarily needed one, but to go see
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And it gives you something. I love the scavenger hunts, like we talked a little bit about in a previous podcast, and we'll talk about again when we talk about Epcot. When they do their festivals, they always have some sort of, seems like, kid element to it, a scavenger hunt or something like that. And that was just a cool way to have that carry over into Animal Kingdom. It was kind of a bonus surprise. So we really enjoyed that. Wilderness explorers, I would say preschoolers or younger children or even older children who have
I would say
an
grade school.
interest.
I would say
Yeah,
grade school.
who have an interest in learning all different things like that. I thought it was really, really neat. So Disney, kudos to you for coming up with that. Nice job. Um, so when we got off the ride, I don't remember where you went. Maybe our daughter wanted a price check on something. I don't remember, but you walked away from us and we sat down on a bench
Yep.
and I put my hand down and got stung by a bee.
Yes.
And it was not a big deal. I'm not allergic to bees or anything like that, although I don't think I had been stung by a bee since I was like, I don't know, 10 years old or something. And there's a sweet little cast member there, and she very politely took care of the bee so that it didn't sting anyone else, because I think it was
But
still alive after it stung me. But the point of this all is a little tidbit here. There are first aid centers in all of the parks, which this isn't shocking to anyone, I'm sure, but the first aid center is right near Africa when you're in the Animal Kingdom. So I was able to go over to the first aid center and they worked on getting the stinger out for me and put a little cream on it so that it wasn't so burny. But
and,
we did that after we went through the Gorilla Falls.
yeah, through the Gorilla Falls expedition trails, seeing gorillas and all the different apes and things through there. But also the first aid station was really close to the river that weaves its way through Animal Kingdom, and they were doing the character cavalcades.
Yeah.
So as Amanda was getting worked on in the first aid, we would run over as we'd hear a character cavalcade go. We were on top of the bridge, the cavalcade would go underneath, and we'd get to see all the different characters. Again, being Christmas time, we were able to see them dressed up in their holiday gear, which was a lot of fun. So Chip and Dale, although I don't know that they were in their holiday gear, they were in their dinosaur costumes, which was kind of fun to see.
Yeah. I have the steel drums in my head.
Yeah,
right
the steel
now.
drums
I
were
love
great.
that.
What'd you see? Are you kidding me?
So that was a lot of fun. I believe they're still doing cavalcades right now.
They are along the riverboat. We'll see. As of us recording this podcast, it is June of 2021. And at this time, Disney has reduced a lot of the requirements as far as mask wearing. They are still required in circumstances, but things are changing like daily right now in Disney World. So I would say just pay attention when you go to what some of the rules and regulations and stipulations are. But at this time, they're still not doing character meet and greets in the traditional sense of being able to go up and hug a character. But they are still doing the podcast. They are still doing the cavalcades and the mini parades, if you will. So you have plenty of opportunity to see characters. You're just not going up and getting autographs or hugging characters right now.
Yep. So after we got Amanda fixed up, we decided to go over to Pandora. Did not do Flight of Passage, which I know that's probably everybody that does know Animal Kingdom. That's one of the more well-known rides.
Yeah.
We definitely are thinking about doing that the next time that we go. But we did the Navi River journey, which was great. Spoiler, 5-year-old still a little scared of the dark. Rides.
Yeah.
So she was a little freaked out, but we ended up ended up being okay. We didn't have any
She was a little nervous about water rides too. Even
Yep.
though this is not a traditional water ride, you get on a boat. It's a boat that floats through the water.
And yeah, as we talk about Magic Kingdom, we'll talk about she loves Splash Mountain. So who knows?
Again, thrill. She's all about the thrill rides. Just
Yeah.
doesn't like anything.
But Navi River was really cool.
And we are not, neither of us have seen Avatar.
Still haven't seen Avatar.
And so we probably would think it was that much cooler if we had seen the movie. So there's something for you. If you have never watched Avatar and don't really have a desire to, this land is still beautiful. It's very peaceful to walk through, and the ride is very peaceful and very calming, and it's cool. So if you're there in a time where it's really hot, maybe think about going on the Navi River journey.
Yep, for sure. Definitely a great one to get out of the heat. That was kind of the end of our morning after the Navi River journey. We went to Disney Springs for lunch, and the only reason we really truly went to Disney Springs for lunch was so we could watch the Detroit Lions play football.
Yeah.
Yes, we're a glutton for punishment, and that was what we chose to do for lunch, and that's why we had to do that for lunch.
That's completely accurate. I was so excited to have the ability, as weird as this sounds, and I love Thanksgiving, and my whole life Thanksgiving has been your very traditional sit down and have lunch or dinner or both with the family and do all the traditional meal. But because we were going to be in Disney, I looked up best sports bars in Walt Disney World, and we went there and had Thanksgiving dinner at the sports bar in Walt Disney World and watched the Detroit Lions.
Food was great.
Yeah.
Food was good. It was fun to watch the Lions. But then we came back at night because we went to see the park lit up. We want to see the Christmas tree.
Yeah, this Christmas tree at Animal Kingdom, I was just talking about this with you the other day. This is my favorite Christmas tree of all 4 Christmas trees in the different Disney parks, which that's a little shocking to me. I mean, they're all neat. They're all really neat. But there's something about the Animal Kingdom Christmas tree and just Animal Kingdom in general. I just find it to be a very peaceful park.
Yeah. So the Christmas tree was beautiful.
Yeah.
They had a nice little picture set up off to the side too, that you get your picture taken in a winter scene.
Yeah, and we pay for the photo pass, so I always force us to stand in line and get our picture taken at every single possible photo pass spot opportunity, because I feel like I want to get my money's worth.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the Tree of Life this year, they had a projection going of some different like cartoons of characters in winter scenes.
That was an unexpected bonus.
It was pretty cool to see, and it wasn't.
Now, she was nervous because if you look at a picture of Expedition Everest, you can see the cart going up the track, and it goes up into this mountain, but there's like a split in the mountain where you can see that it goes up into it. And that made her nervous. The idea of going up into the mountain made her nervous. So she could see that while we were waiting in line. And we tried to convince her, no, honey, it'll be fine. You'll really enjoy this. Thank goodness she was not tall enough by like a quarter of an inch. She was not tall enough to ride this ride when we went.
And it was at nighttime. She was tired too. So she was melting down. She had no desire to go on this ride. And we were going to try to kind of force her to go on the ride. And but because we wanted her to, kind of face
her to enjoy it. And we thought she really would because she loves roller coasters. Thank goodness.
But we did rider swap, which is great if you're with young kids that can't go on rides, and you as adults want to go on some of these roller coasters or things that the kids aren't tall enough for. Highly recommend rider swap. Amanda waited in the rest of the line.
So what happened was we saw the rider swap individual, the person that was, because you can't just do rider swap. You have to get a little pass. So find a cast member. There will be a cast member.
And they'll put it on your magic band. And
probably near the entrance of the ride is where you'll find them, and just let them know you want to use rider swap. And that's what we did. So and we told them, we said we might take her on this, but they still set us up with rider swap. So we had the rider swap opportunity with her, and then she waited in line with us until we got to the point where they were measuring. So once we got to the point where they were measuring and she was no longer allowed to be in the line because she wasn't tall enough, like I wanted her to wait with me, but they wouldn't even let her go past that point, which makes total sense, right? Because then the cast members that are up at the ride don't have to deal with potentially people trying to sneak on the ride that shouldn't be on the ride. Trust me, she would have not snuck on that ride. That girl would have been out of there. But so you and her at this point, you guys broke away to
the gift shop,
and I went and waited in line. And I will say, for those of you that are like rider swap, but I really like, I want to be with my family, and it is the best thing ever. I mean, of course I want to be with my family, but I'm with my family this entire trip. It didn't bother me to wait in line by myself. I didn't have to wait very long by myself. And then it gave both of us the opportunity to ride it. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are parents or grandparents or aunts and uncle, whoever, and you have little ones with you and you still want to ride the rides, definitely take advantage of rider swap. I know not all the rides have it, but most of your big ones are going to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did in the gift shop
while
I was in line?
So daughter's still kind of freaking out, not real happy with things, just tired and just over it in general. And dad's a softie when it comes to trying to make my daughter happy.
We're not going to spend a lot of money in Disney World.
Yeah, well, yeah, Mickey gets your money one way or the other. But I was always into pins growing up, and I thought, well, this would be kind of fun if we got our daughter into pin trading. And so we purchased a starter set of pin trading and then purchased some more pins. And a few $100s later, by the end of the trip, we were into pin trading. Both of us were, but this is where we got started pin trading, was at within the gift shop right off of Expedition Everest, waiting for Amanda to get done.
Yeah.
So our daughter, though, really loved it. She got into it. She now pin trades. We have some people nearby where we live that are Disney fans as well, and we get to see them every once in a while, and they'll pin trade back and forth.
It's so much fun. I will say, I am not a pin person. I can appreciate like the hobby. I can appreciate the activity, but I am not into it at all. But this, I got off the ride, which when I got off the ride, I looked at my husband and I said, we are so lucky she did not go on this ride. For those of you that have never ridden this ride, it's scary enough in the daytime, but spoiler, if you don't want to know about this ride, just like jump ahead maybe 15 seconds or so. I didn't realize that the track is not lit like at all. So you cannot see. It is blind. You are flying through these hills and twists and turns, and you can't see anything because there's no lights throughout a lot of this ride. So it's dark and it's scary and it's fast. And then there's a Yeti involved, and then you go backwards on this ride, which is real unexpected. If you don't know,
really a lot of fun though.
It is so much fun. But I'm sitting there riding this going, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, for not having her be tall enough, because she would have freaked out.
Yeah.
And now we'll see. But I get off the ride and she's got this pin lanyard around her, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Then you jumped on and you were able to go on the ride.
I was, yeah. So it was great. Walked right over to where the rider swap is. They scanned the Magic Band onto the ride. Basically walk on for the most part. You kind of basically like fast pass when those are around. So
yeah.
But yeah. So that was our last trip to Animal Kingdom, and now we're looking forward to our next one.
And to put a bow real quick, I think I've said to put a bow in our last 3 podcasts. Maybe that'll be my thing.
It can be your thing.
To put a bow on this topic, to put a bow on that trip. We went back for maybe an hour to an hour and a half. We were, I think, there for about an hour and a half when we went back. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, I know there will be times where you will go back from the park and you're just too exhausted to go back into the park. But there's always something you can do. And had we never gone back that night, because we were tired, right? And it was like, should we, shouldn't we? You know, we knew our daughter was tired, but it turned out to be a really, really cool night. And that's where I feel like It's about your attitude and your expectations and all of those things, right? Like we were trying to encourage her, but we didn't force her. And honestly, I don't think we would have forced her. I know you said we really wanted her
Yeah,
to, but she, with the fact that she was not calming down, we wouldn't have forced her to ride the ride. And so then she got into pin trading. And that was like a really fun accident that would have never happened. And it's funny because I just posted a quote today that it's a Jack Sparrow quote, but your problem about the problem is not your I'm butchering this.
Yeah, you're gonna screw that one up. Just we'll move on.
I'll get the quote by the end.
So next trip coming up, and this is why we're leading in and doing the parks here in June, is because we are leading up to our trip over the 4th of July. So our next trip, we're hoping to do Flight of Passage.
Yeah, I really want to do the Kali River Rapids too, because it's going to be hot.
Yeah, it is going to be hot, but I hate getting really, really wet. And so,
you are such a...
I know, that's fine.
Don't like sand, you don't like the beach, you don't like getting wet when it's 90 degrees.
Well, I don't like
Florida,
getting wet
and you're going to be dry in 5 minutes.
All right.
Wear your bathing suit.
That's fine. Okay. I'll let you talk about the butterflies in Africa because I don't know a whole lot. I'm guessing there's a butterfly house.
I don't think there's a butterfly house.
Oh, okay.
So I have little bullet points in front of us, and Keith's trying to go real literal here, and they're really just to help me in case I get too lost and down a rambling path. Because I told him, I said, we got to keep this closer to 40 minutes. We can't have our podcast go an hour. I guess we do whatever we wanted, but if you get on Disney's website, first of all, it's a great resource that really explains, but it can be overwhelming because there are a ton of things to do in all the different parks. But I was reading about how specifically in Africa, Disney, no shocker here, has specific plants planted to help encourage butterflies and that sort of thing. But I think there's some really cool little spots within Africa. So I want to kind of dig on those a little bit more next time we go. And so if you know anything about what I'm referring to here, I'd love to hear from you on that, if you can comment on it. The Festival of the Lion King just restarted. I definitely would like to sit through that show.
I would love to.
I think we would all enjoy that. That's one of the only Broadway shows that you and I have been to together. I think that was the first Broadway show we went to.
Correct. Yep. So, and obviously the show at Animal Kingdom is not the Broadway show, but it has elements to it, I think, and different things.
Same vibe.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing the Festival of the Lion King.
Yep. There's also a bird release that happens near the Tree of Life.
Cool.
And I've seen it a couple times, like seen people talk about it a couple times. I think it would be really fun if they do it a couple times throughout the day, I believe. So I'd love to do that. And then I would love to go have a cocktail at Nomad Lounge because I've seen so many people talk about this place, and we saw it the last time we were there.
And it's right along the river.
Yep.
It's a great place. It seems like to just kind of relax and chill for a minute. If you're looking and go, you know what, I just need to get off my feet for a few minutes. So what do you guys want to know about? Like, tell us what you guys may want to hear about, and that way we can go explore if you're not able to, and we can kind of report back.
Yeah. Or if you have anything that's kind of your favorite thing to do at the Animal Kingdom, let us know. Shoot us a note.
Recommendations are always.
Yeah. What's your favorite things to do in Animal Kingdom? I really found the quote here, so I'm going to not butcher it. I'm going to read it. So the problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. But I think that applies when planning a Disney trip.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're going to have problems on your trip.
Yeah, you're always.
And your attitude is going to make or break.
It's not even problems. It's just you're going to have things that go sideways.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to pivot. And it's Disney. God, guess what? You're going to have fun no matter what. There's going to be things you're going to find to do that are going to make the trip very magical, and cast members and everything. They just can't say enough about how Disney does what Disney does.
Yeah.
And we thoroughly enjoy it. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening today.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure if you are watching it on YouTube, there you go, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're releasing the podcast weekly, and hopefully soon we'll be sprinkling in some more tips and tricks and things like that, videos that'll relate a little bit more to planning a vacation, whether it is or isn't Disney related. And if you are planning a trip to Disney World and you're interested in getting a little bit more help or having somebody kind of hold your hand or guide you on some of the different nuances that Disney has when you are planning a trip, make sure you reach out to Magically Simple Travel. That's what we do. We are experts in planning vacations like that. So reach out to us and we would love to start your planning for your Disney vacation.
It's a great time. I just saw some new discounts released here, I think through July and
There
September
are.
on some rooms. So
Yeah.
great time to be looking forward to going. 50th anniversary coming up here starting in October. So if you are thinking about it, it's a great time to really, I think, go to Disney World. We're excited to go and see what they have to offer, especially over 4th of July, hoping for fireworks to come back.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So.
All right. Until next time, what is our next topic? Are we going to do Hollywood Studios or
Yeah.
are we going to do Epcot?
No, let's do Hollywood Studios.
Okay. So we'll probably do Hollywood Studios next week. It'll either be one of the two, but probably Hollywood Studios. And hope you guys have a great week, great weekend. And we'll talk to you next week. Hakuna Matata.
We'll see ya.